Okay, Corey, go ahead and get started. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Visual Sound webinar on using Smart Learning Suite for assessments. I'm Dana Witzel. I'm an account manager on the education sales team here at Visual Sound. Our presenter today is Corey Freed. Corey's the Visual Sound education consultant, a former teacher and Google and Microsoft certified. Corey will be sharing the resources after today's recorded call, so please put your name and email in the chat box, and we'll be sure to reach out to you after today's session. Okay, Corey, thank you. Go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, Dana. So as Dana said, my name is Corey Freed, and I am the educational consultant here at Visual Sound. I have been teaching for about 13 years before I came over to the training side of things. And I am looking forward to working with you all. I do custom professional developments for school, as well as these webinars that we've been hosting for all the teachers in the area, because we know that, you know, this blended learning, remote learning, this all kind of happened really fast. And we want to be able to assist you in helping your students. So that the last school year kind of just winded down. You're going to start thinking about September already. And I know it sounds crazy. It's June. We're thinking September. But you're all teachers, you know you don't really get the summer off. So we're going to talk today about Smart Learning Suite Online and how it can really help with assessments, both formal and informal. So right now I am in Google Slides, and the reason I wanted to start in Google Slides is because I wanted you to be aware that we actually created these presentations using Google and then converted them into Smart Learning Suite notebooks. The reason why we like to do this is because Google Slides has a lot more editable functionality, but it's very stagnant. Once you put something in a Google slide, it's it. You're just looking at it. So when we now come over to our Smart Learning Suite, you're going to notice those slides look the same, except that I had added the class code to the bottom of the first one. And now what I can do is I can pick up my stylus and I could write on it. So if I wanted to remind you guys that the whole point of today's webinar is to talk about the importance of assessments, and obviously not those high stake testing, because we're not talking about standardized tests. We're talking about actual assessments and knowing our students so that we can better adapt our lessons to fit their needs. So those are the nice things about these smart notebooks, is that they are interactive and you can write on them. Now, besides me writing on the slides, I could also have my students write on the slide. So as you were coming in, I did have this class code up on that first page. So that way you are able to, again, pretend to be a student and see what's going on. I do have Dana and some other people logged in. So that way I have some fake students to show you the teacher perspective as students do things. But if you also would like to be a fake student for today's lesson, feel free to log into that class code. Now, if you're wondering where to find your class code, it's right here, it's the people. When you click on the people, that's where you get your class code. And it's right here on the top. But now if you have, you know, the kids are on the screen, that's really tiny. I'm sharing it to you and you probably can't even read that 6-digit number. When you click on that arrow, it pulls it out larger, so it takes up your whole screen. And this way your students can see that code. If they're using the login with Google option, so if you remember, I told you to log in as a guest, but if they're logging in with Google, your class code will save to their account. So next time they come back in, if it's like 3 days from now, a month from now, your code will still be saved in their account, and they'll just see a list of all their teachers and they can click on your name to come back into your class. So that's another nice benefit of Smart Learning Suite Online, is that your students can access your stuff and they can always come back to it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at this little Venn diagram, and we're going to talk about what the difference is between formative and summative assessments. So if you guys want to come off of mute, or if you want to, you know, type in the chat. The other thing I can do is, if I wanted to make this an interactive work page, obviously I didn't do that, but if I come up here to edit the lesson, I can go to that Venn diagram and I can make this a group activity. So now when I go back to my notebook, as it loads, give it 1 second, I can go back to that slide, and now anyone who's logged into my class will be able to write on that slide. And I'm going to set it to everyone as one team. You notice that little warning that came up on the bottom. It says only people logged in can come back later. So if you sign in as a guest or your students sign in as a guest, they cannot access this next time. If you're logged in with your Google account, you can. So if you want to write on this, feel free. It should be up on your screen now. And I am going to actually load from my phone so that you can see how somebody can access this from a phone. So if your students don't have a computer, or maybe they're watching you talk on the computer, but they want to be able to interact on their phone or vice versa, I want you to be aware that both options are there. All right, I see some people writing. And again, this is the whole point of this, is just to show you that multiple people. Now, something really cool that just recently became available from Smart. And when I say recently available, this update was about a week ago. If I click on someone's writing, do you see how it gives me that little pull down arrow? I can now see who added something. So I could see Dana wrote the word quiz. And I could see, I'm not going to click on grades because I'm the one that wrote that one. I could see that George wrote hi. And I could see that Pat wrote adjust instruction based on assignment. So when your students are working on these group assignments now, you actually have the ability to go in and see who wrote what. So when you have little Johnny who says, I promise I did something, you can click on it and you could see who did it. All right, so we're going to move on now. And the next, yes, George, what was that?
Did Pat put in a text box to type?
Yes, Pat put in a text box. So if I go back there really quick, what you'll see is over here on the left of your screen as a student, because I'm right now on the teacher one, but you should see everything except the settings gear. You should be able to see a pen, eraser, insert image, and a letter. The letter is the text box.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. George, ask all the questions you want. That's the whole point of these webinars. So why do we do formative assessments? Well, obviously, when you ask a kid a question, they go, yeah, I get it. How many times does the kid say, yeah, I get it? And then you ask them how to do it and they can't answer it. So the main point of a formative assessment is to actually gauge the student's progress and make sure that you as the teacher are reaching them at their level. If I was going to go into a first grade classroom, I'm not going to be teaching them calculus. And vice versa, if I walk into a ninth grade class, I'm not going to be teaching them how to count to 10. So formative assessments are really valuable for the teacher because it lets them see where their students are. We all know that not every seventh grader is actually on a seventh grade level. So we as the teachers need to adapt and adjust to make sure we're reaching each of those students. All right, so this right here is a shout out. And if you remember Shoutouts, if you have used Smart Learning Suite Online at all or Smart Notebook, the shout out is going to give everybody kind of a bit of a text box on their screen. And you're going to be able to type something in that text box and send it to the screen. So the question again said, why are we doing formative assessments? You don't actually have to write a real answer like George wrote the word hi before on the screen. You could write anything you want. And then when you send that to the screen, it's going to send it for everyone. So when everyone's typing, I have this set so each student can put 3 options. If you notice right now, you're not seeing any names, you're just seeing these shapes. But if I come over here to the gear, it's going to show me who's what shape. It's also going to allow me to display the names directly on the posts or keep them as just the shapes. So when I just clicked on the names, and now if I go here and click on It's Friday, I know that I'm going to assume Dana is Dana because it obviously cuts off at 3 letters, but I know she wrote It's Friday. And if I come over here to Pat, it says allow for differentiation and reteaching. So you can pull these things out. You can see what people are writing. And the other nice thing about Shoutouts is you can actually move them around on your screen. If you have a smart panel and you're physically in the classroom, you can have a student come up here and you could have them sort and say, all right, which of these meet formative assessment and which of these meet summative assessments? And one of the kids can come up to the board and drag them. If you are obviously like we are right now doing it remotely, you as the teacher on your screen can just drag them on and show everyone what's going on. So
Corey,
Shoutouts, yes.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, ask your question, George.
I'm sorry, I must have looked away for 3.5 seconds, but I don't know how you started a shout out.
Oh, don't worry, we're going to have more shout outs. But basically, what I don't want to reset it right now, but basically, what would happen is when you get to the slide, it'll just say start for class.
Hmm.
But I think I do have another shout out in
I saw that, yeah.
this presentation. All right, so as I move on, this is again, we had a nice little screenshot just in case we didn't have an active class today. I wanted you to see. And you'll notice in this sample, somebody put them in nice straight rows to take this picture of it. So that's why I'm saying you can move them around and do what you need to do. So now we're going to talk about a formative assessment that actually gives the teacher 100% feedback. When you do responses is going to actually give you, the teacher, an Excel spreadsheet at the end. And it's going to conditionally format it. So all correct answers are marked green, all incorrect answers are marked red. It's going to give you both a percentage and a point value. The only issue with response is it must be synchronous. All students have to take it at the same time in order for it to work. If you have your presentation, and I'm going to just show you this again, if you have your presentation set to student paced, responses will not work. Responses will only work in teacher paced if you as the teacher have it open on your screen. So this right here is a sample response. And George, it's the same thing with the shout out. It's going to have something like this that says start for class. And when I click start for class, it's going to pop up and it's going to let you guys take these questions. And again, these questions are very basic ones just for the sake of testing this. You can put wrong answers, right answers. It does not matter. I'm not even reading the questions as I put fake answers just to show you what it looks like when you're done. So the kids would take that quiz at the last page. If you didn't notice it, it does give you here's a summary of the answers you picked. Are you sure you want these? And you'll notice our percentage is going up as more and more students are answering the questions. Since I have 7 students currently enrolled in the class, it will tell me when all 7 students are done by giving me that 100%. Since I want to move on, I'm not going to have you guys finish the 5 questions. I'm going to actually hit end activity. And so we can hit that end and review. And once you as the teacher do that, your students can no longer answer questions. But right here is that Excel report that I was mentioning. And you'll notice it downloaded a file for me. If I open that file, it's going to open an Excel spreadsheet on my computer. Now, in order for me to show you that Excel spreadsheet, you need to just give me one moment because I'm currently presenting my browser alone and I need to switch to present my full screen for you to see the Excel spreadsheet come up. All right, so now my whole screen should be coming up. And when that Excel spreadsheet opens in there, you will be able to see what the teacher sees in those answers. And while Excel is taking its sweet time loading, we'll move on and I'll come back to show you that once it finally loads on the computer. So this is the next part I want to talk about. And the reason I love these activities are much more fun for the students. The downside to these formative assessments is, yes, they're formative, but they're self-assessments. You as the teacher cannot see your student responses to these type of assignments, but your students can do it on their own for review and so that they can self-assess themselves. All right, there's the Excel spreadsheet. So as you can see, when I open that Excel spreadsheet, it shows me all of my students. It shows me Pat is my star pupil with 100%. It shows me that most of us just turned it off really quick because I stopped the quiz midway. But there, as you can see, it gives you green for correct, red for incorrect, and it lets you know what the students did and how they are understanding the material. If you have 100 students in your class, your spreadsheet will have 100 rows. Notice that this one here has my name because that is actually open on my computer, but I didn't take it on my computer. I took it on my phone. So this is showing you that this student right here did not answer any questions. They got a 0. But then, like I said, I was on my phone as well. So sample phone, that shows you that the sample phone did answer questions. So you can really see what everyone's doing and how it's working. All right, so back to the formative assessments, the fun ones. As I said, some of these activities are really great, but the problem that you will find with them is that you as the teacher don't actually see student results. So we're going to talk about some other ones that you can see student results for, but I want to show you this one first because this is, again, one of those fun activities. And you as the teacher, because you're going to be hosting this one in real time, you'll see what the students are doing, but you won't necessarily have every single student, every single question, but it'll give you a nice little snapshot while letting your students have a little bit of fun. So we're going to start the game show. And as you can see on the screen, it'll pull up my 2 teams. And what would happen is you as the teacher are going to be controlling this. So Thomas just asked if he could put music. And the thing with music, we are currently in Google Meet. So if I stop sharing my full screen and I go back to just...
Sorry, we can hear you. We can't hear you. Yeah.
Can you guys hear me now? I just had to reset my system. For some reason, it froze.
Good now, Corey.
Okay, I apologize for that. I went to switch to show you, I was talking that whole time too. I went to switch to show you how you can get the sound, and then my entire system just froze. So when you are in Google Meet, the only way to get sound is to share a specific Chrome tab. So you can't share your browser, you have to share the tab. So now that I'm sharing the tab, I should be able to show you the music from the game. So when I go back to the slide, yeah, it's very fuzzy in my headset, so it might not. All right, so I'm going to stop presenting the tab, and I'm just going to go back to the way I had it, since that's obviously a little messy.
Corey.
Yes.
When I went over to the one I logged into, it asked me to start too. Would all the students have to start too? Press start?
That is a great question. So if you as the student hit the press start option, it's going to let you play the game yourself. So like if you, for example, like if you were doing like an elementary school lesson, you can create a game like that. And then if you share it out, the families could all play with like the parents can play with the kids and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't all be the same game. They'd all be playing individually from each other.
Okay.
That's why I was saying you as the teacher would kind of have to do it on the screen. And then your students would just be playing, like they'd just be listening and talking to you. Okay. For that activity. Now, some of the other activities are even more interactive. So this sample here is a handout. And if you remember, I told you that a lot of the assignments, you can't see the student's activity for it. But this one right here, you would be able to see what every student did. So when you have a handout, as you can see right now, it says students will appear once they've connected and started. On your screen, you should see the word start. If I click teacher handout, it's going to show the blank screen on the board of what I'm asking every student to do. And what's really cool with this one is it actually has infinite cloning. How many of you have used infinite cloning in Smart Learning Suite Online or Smart Notebook? Has anyone used it before? Possibly. All right, so what's really cool about it is those shapes on the bottom, the circle, the oval, the line, they can be dragged out as many times as you want to make your graph. And if I go into my screen now, this arrow up here, that's going to let me see all of my students. So if I click on my sample phone, you'll see that I drag that circle out a ton of times. So like I'm dragging that circle out, and you can see that it's being dragged. If I come over here and click on George, I'll be able to see that George added some typing and he dragged some words over. If you currently have your microphone unmuted, please mute the microphone so that way we can all hear each other. Thomas, if it's turning on randomly, I totally understand. Just I appreciate if you can try to keep it from distracting everyone else.
Sure. Okay.
All right, so I'm going to move on because we do have a couple other sample things to show you. So this activity right here is one that you could do as a group and you could do separately. So if I click on the people icon, I wanted you to see this as well. If you remember before, I had to go up and I went into edit to turn something into a worksheet. But what if I want to just on the fly turn something in? So I click on my silhouette of the people, and now it gives me the option to make it an individual handout for the students or a collaborative workspace for the students. So you can have a screen that when you planned your lesson, this screen could have just been a slide that you were going to talk about to your kids. And then you could be like, you know what? I want you guys to write on it. You click on the silhouette, you just turn it into a workspace. And now all your students that are logged into your class can write on that. And I'm again going to set it to everyone in one group because I'm not going to waste time setting you guys into groups just for the demonstration. But you would now be able to write on the slide and all share your notes together. And that's, again, that's some of that nice collaborativeness. And it also gives you as the teacher a quick snapshot of what your students are understanding or not understanding at that current time. If you wanted
But is anonymous or like they are logged?
Can you say that again?
Students.
Can you ask that again? I'm
It's
sorry, I didn't hear you.
anonymous.
Okay, I apologize for that, folks. I just removed him from the meeting because he's not talking about anything smart related. I do apologize. But so as I was saying, if you wanted to do something on the fly with your students, because maybe you're doing a webinar like this and you kind of think your students are zoning out because they're not watching in real time, like their mics are muted, because obviously we want them muted when they're not talking to avoid distractions. They don't have their cameras on. So you can come right over here to the plus sign and you can create an activity on the fly. So if I was to create a blank page, I can then again come up to the silhouette, turn it into a workspace, and now it's just going to be a blank white screen. But now I could say to the kids, all right, I want to see how well you're paying attention. Somebody write the answers. What did we learn today? Or how can you build a catapult at home? Or what year was the Spanish flu? I'm trying to think of questions off the top of my head, but you get the point. You can just ask a question, put a generic white screen up on the board and say to the kids, write an answer. All right, so that is the end of our slide deck. We have about 5 minutes for questions and answers. If you have any questions, I am more than happy to help you with those. As Pat will attest to, if I don't have the correct answer, I will definitely get back to you with it because I do not want to leave you with false information. Yes, George. I saw you come off mute. I assumed you had a question.
Sorry, yeah, I do, but I don't want to have to take everybody's time. And I know I missed Wednesday, but could you show me how to get this slide onto Smart?
Yes. Oh, definitely. So, George, what you're going to do is I'm going to go back into my Google Drive, and there's 2 separate ways to make this into a Smart notebook. So when you have a Google Slides, actually, I'll stay in my priority. So right here is today's slide deck. It says visual sound number 2 because it's our second one. So here are the 2 options. Option 1 is you right click on whatever Google slide that you want. And you see how it gives you that pull down menu that says open with? Smart Learning Suite Smart Learning Suite is going to be one of the pull down options for open with. So again, you would right click. If you have a Mac or most laptops these days, you would do 2 fingers. So 2 fingers to open that menu and then open with, and that drag menu would say Smart Learning Suite. The other option is to go to New and then More. So when you go to New and More, it'll be the last option there for you. It says Smart Learning Suite. And when you click on that, it'll ask you which Google slides you want to import. So then you would just pick the slides and click OK, and it starts opening it for you. So the right clicking is the faster way, but the new menu is you don't have to search for the file first. So it's basically that's what the option comes down to. Search for your file first or search for your file after. So you're either going to hit Smart Learning Suite, then find the file, or hit the file and then hit Smart Learning Suite. So two different methods gets you to the same place in the end.
That last sentence kind of confused me again.
Okay.
I understood what you did the first time, but when you said you could either do this or that kind of got me a little mixed up.
Okay, I apologize, George. All right.
So, okay, right-click, open with Smart Learning Suite. I understand that.
Okay.
That's for the whole presentation, correct?
Yes. Oh, you can't import a single slide. You have to import a whole presentation.
Okay. And on the other side where you had
The
new, down to more.
Yep.
And then Smart Suite. This is where I got to do it.
All right, I'm doing it for you so you could see, because I think you're right. I did explain it kind of funny. So once it loads, what's going to happen this time is now that it loads, it's going to ask me, I'm going to hit skip that because that's giving you a tour. It's going to ask me to import the resource. You see how import resource says notebook, PowerPoint, PDF, or G Suite?
Yes.
That's now I would go to my Google Drive, and now I would have to first search my Google Drive for the file.
Okay.
That's
like
that's what I meant when I said you're either going to go to the file first and click open with Smart Learning Suite, or you're going to go to open Smart Learning Suite and then pick the file.
Okay.
Both have the same end result. Both will open it as a Smart Learning Suite notebook.
Good.
I apologize for being confusing, George. Thank you for calling me out on it.
It's probably mostly me.
No, it's me. That's why I appreciate you calling me out on it. Do I have any other questions? Feel free to come off of mute or type them in the chat box.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Corey. I unfortunately did not get the memo about Wednesday's webinar until like 2 minutes before 11, so I unfortunately missed it. Is there a recording of that somewhere that I would be able to review?
There sure is.
Could you tell me where that is?
I was trying to get back to the slide. So this right here where it says all webinar resources, I actually did not link it on there yet, so I am going to link it on there. But the one that says YouTube playlist, it is there 100%. It is on the YouTube list.
Okay, perfect. Because our instructional coach at my school sent this to us, and I wasn't in a position where I could just drop whatever I was doing and attend that one, so I missed that. But we're going towards doing more with Smart Learning Suite online, for obvious reasons, and so I'm trying to get as much as I can. Like I said, I unfortunately missed that one. So that's a great help. And by the way, you did a great job handling all of those random interruptions today, by the way.
I will be very honest, and that's why I have Dana in here with me. She was the one that was muting them.
Well, either way, you guys did a great job handling that. That was kind of random and weird, but you guys did a nice job.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And before I put this one up on YouTube, I will probably be doing a little bit of editing to get all good. So if you watch any of the recorded webinars, you will see slight edits. Stuff like that is the reason. It's not that I'm trying to trick people into thinking it wasn't recorded live. It's because I'm trying to get rid of the dead empty space, the random interruptions, all of that type of stuff.
Fair enough. Thank you.
You are very welcome. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. My personal information is on the next slide. So there's my email address and my Twitter handle. I am trying to get up to 2,000 followers by the end of the summer, so please feel free to follow me on Twitter.
And Corey, is that something you posted in the chat earlier to be able to access this? Because unfortunately, I had to get my husband to drop some security settings that he has set up at home because it wouldn't let me in. So I had to call him and be like, could you make our computer work? So I missed the very, very beginning, so I wasn't able to link in.
Okay, so that first link, the 033, that one is the Smart Resources, and that list was actually put together for us by someone at Smart. So the 033 is Smart specific. The 031 is all the webinar resources from everything I did during March, April, May, and June. And then the 034 is the YouTube channel.
Perfect. I'm going to go, I'm going to pull all of those up right now and save them. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. And the upcoming webinar schedule is on the top of the all webinar resources. So I'm not going to start
Okay.
typing out that visualsound.com.
Right.
That one is on the top of the 031.
Awesome. Thank you.
You are very welcome. Any other questions from the audience? Again, you can come off of mute, or you can type it in the chat box. It's up to you. I am here for all of you.